And we start tonight with election coverage you can count on. With 2 weeks to the day of elections, we have a lot to bring you tonight as Republican candidate Dr. Mehmet and Democratic candidate Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman will come face to face in a debate.
Our correspondents Brendan Scanland and Rachel Knapp are live at the debate in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Brendan and Rachel, what can we expect going into tonight?
Mike and Eva, good evening from here in Harrisburg. We're about 3 hours away from the highly anticipated debate between Dr. Mehmet and Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman. I'm joined here by our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp. Rachel, expectations are going to be high, as you reported yesterday, for Dr. Oz and perhaps a bit lower for Lieutenant Governor Fetterman. Can you elaborate a little bit on those expectations, as well as what each candidate really has to do to try and appeal to some of those moderate, perhaps undecided voters who might be looking at tonight's debate to make up their mind for November 8th?
Sure, yeah. So, Brendan, of course, each candidate is going to try to get as many votes as they can. And, of course, this debate is going to be a great way to kind of get those votes, right? And so, but the expectations going into tonight are going to be a little bit different. So with Dr. Oz, we know him as a TV guy, right? So he might be a little bit more comfortable on camera and answering some of these questions, right? But for Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, people are kind of more interested in seeing this health conversation. We know he had a stroke a couple months ago, and so people are going to be looking to see, is that going to be a factor, if at all, during this debate? So the two are kind of different approaches as far as their expectations for tonight. But we're going to just kind of look at this is just an incredibly high stakes debate for tonight, Brendan.
Absolutely. And when you sort of look at it, obviously garnishing a lot of national attention, a lot on the line for both Republicans and Democrats. Rachel, what is really at stake here when we look at the United States Senate for Republicans and Democrats?
Sure, yeah. So as everyone knows, this is a 50-50. The Senate is split almost right down the middle, with Vice President Kamala Harris being our tie-breaking vote for the Democrats. And so each party is going to try to get as many seats as they can and try to hold on to power. So tonight could be a really deciding factor on who stays in power or who gains power in the Senate.
Yeah, voter turnout definitely going to be a big thing. We're expecting to see Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman focusing on those areas like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, really trying to mobilize voters, whereas Dr. Oz focusing a lot more recently on rural areas as he tries to mobilize a lot of those voters. We'll have much more coverage coming up on Erie News Now at 5:30 from here in Harrisburg. But for now, Mike and Eva will send it back to you in the studio.